Hey man, here's the truth. Most guys never learn because they've been programmed since boyhood to believe the exact opposite. When you stop chasing a woman, her feelings towards you don't fade away. In many cases, they actually intensify. We've been sold this Hollywood fantasy where a man wins a woman by endlessly pursuing her, proving himself, showering her with attention until she realizes he's the one. But in real life, the opposite is often true. A woman's emotional attraction thrives on curiosity, uncertainty, and the feeling that she's earning your presence, not being smothered by it. When you stop chasing, you disrupt the pattern she's used to with men. Most guys give her their energy freely, without her lifting a finger. When you don't do that, you immediately stand out, not because you're playing a game, but because your self-respect won't allow you to pour into someone who's not pouring back. That difference alone plants a seed in her mind that will grow faster than any amount of chasing ever could. When you don't chase, the first thing she feels is confusion. This is key. Women are used to male attention being a constant. It's like background noise, they don't even think about it consciously. The texts, the compliments, the invitations, the likes on her photos, it's all just part of her daily environment. When you remove yourself from that lineup, she notices. At first, it's subtle, a passing thought, a moment of, huh, that's odd, he hasn't reached out. But confusion quickly turns into curiosity, because now you've broken the rhythm she's used to. The absence of your attention forces her to wonder why you're different. And here's where most guys fail. They break too early. They think her mild confusion means it's time to jump back in and reassure her. But you have to let her sit in that curiosity long enough for it to start working in your favor. As days pass without your chase, curiosity deepens into self-reflection, though she'd never admit this out loud. She starts wondering if she misread the situation. Did she do something to turn you off? Were you just never that interested to begin with? And here's the important psychological shift. When she starts asking herself these questions, you are no longer the one being evaluated. She is. Women rarely put themselves in that position unless something disrupts their usual dynamic with men. Your silence forces her to measure herself against your standards, even if she doesn't consciously realize it. And because women are wired to seek validation from men they respect, the moment she starts worrying about how you see her, attraction begins to grow. Not because you manipulated her, but because she can sense that your value isn't dependent on her approval. Then comes the emotional itch she can't scratch, the craving for your attention. This is when she starts feeling the loss, even if she's too proud to admit it. You see, women can replace male attention easily. If they lose one guy's interest, they have 10 others waiting in the wings. But replacing your specific energy is impossible, because it's not about generic attention, it's about the feelings she had when she interacted with you. When you pull back, she realizes she can get attention from anywhere, but she can't get yours from anywhere. That scarcity is what makes it valuable. Most men never give her a chance to feel that scarcity because they keep pouring attention into her, no matter how little they get in return. And then, almost inevitably, pride and ego start to battle with her emotions. On one hand, she's feeling drawn to you again, more than before, even. On the other, she doesn't want to admit that your lack of pursuit is affecting her. This is when she'll test you. She might throw out a casual text, comment on something of yours, or create a situation where you could easily reach out. What she's doing here is seeing if she still has pull over you. Most guys fail this test because they see it as a green light and go all in again, which instantly kills the tension. But the men who understand female psychology know that this is just the first crack in her armor, and if they hold their ground, that crack will widen until she's chasing without even realizing it. Once your absence becomes undeniable, she enters the stage where the emotions start to mix with fear. This isn't fear in the way you might think. It's not that she's afraid of losing you as a person, it's that she's afraid of losing the validation and emotional high she got from you. Every time you gave her attention before, it spiked her dopamine. Every reply, every glance, every moment you seemed to care, it reinforced her sense of desirability. When that supply suddenly dries up, she doesn't just notice the absence intellectually, she feels it in her body. She becomes restless, checking her phone more often, replaying past conversations, scrolling through your posts to see if you're still around. That's when she starts realizing she's feeling more for you now than when you were chasing her. Because humans, especially women, are wired to want what feels just out of reach. Her mind will then begin to create scenarios to explain your absence. Some of these will be flattering. Maybe he's just busy. Maybe he's working on himself. While others will be ego bruising. Maybe he's with another woman. Maybe I wasn't that special. The more her mind wrestles with these scenarios, the more emotionally invested she becomes. Here's the key. You're not there defending yourself, explaining your actions, or soothing her ego. By holding your silence, you let her imagination do the work for you, and trust me, her imagination will work overtime. It's in this mental gap that attraction transforms into longing. You're no longer just a guy she liked. You've become a mystery she needs to solve. This is when she begins to reverse her own behavior without consciously deciding to. Maybe she starts liking your posts when she never used to. Maybe she replies to your stories. Maybe she texts you about something trivial, as if she's just checking in. These are not random acts, they're strategic. Even if she's not fully aware of it, she's trying to re-establish the dynamic where she gets your attention on demand. She's probing to see if she still has access to you. And this is where your discipline is tested, because her smallest actions will feel like big signals if you've secretly been missing her too. But the men who maintain their value know that you don't reward breadcrumbs. You wait until she's actually putting in effort equal to yours before you re-engage. If you stay consistent in not chasing, she starts to feel something women rarely admit. They start to respect you more. This is counterintuitive to a lot of men, because we think that by pulling away, we're damaging the connection. But in reality, you're showing her that you don't operate out of desperation. You're showing her that your sense of self-worth is not tied to her approval. Respect is the foundation of genuine attraction, and women simply cannot respect a man who can't walk away. They might enjoy his attention, they might keep him around for validation, but they will never truly desire him. By refusing to chase, you put yourself in the rare category of men who don't need her to feel like a man. Eventually, she will either step up her pursuit of you, or she will fade away entirely. And here's the brutal truth. Both outcomes are wins for you. If she steps up, it's because she's decided that your value outweighs her pride, and now she's meeting you halfway. If she fades away, it's because she never truly valued you to begin with, and your lack of pursuit simply exposed that sooner. Either way, you filtered her out without wasting months or years chasing someone who was never going to give you the energy you deserve. That's the beauty of not chasing. It forces the truth to the surface faster than anything else. You get to see who's genuinely interested and who was just enjoying the free ride of your attention. When you hold your ground long enough, something shifts inside her. What started as mild curiosity and bruised ego becomes a low-grade obsession. She'll catch herself thinking about you at odd times, wondering what you're doing, who you're with, why you still haven't reached out. And because she can't get those answers directly from you, she'll start piecing together scraps of information from whatever she can access. Your social media, mutual friends, old text threads. This is when you go from being just another guy in her orbit to the guy she can't figure out. And that is a very dangerous place for a woman to be emotionally, because once a woman's mind locks onto solving that puzzle, she invests more and more emotional energy, and that emotional energy becomes attachment, whether she wants it to or not. She'll also start comparing you to other men, and here's the fascinating part. Most of those men will start to look worse by comparison. Why? Because other men are still giving her that predictable, constant validation. They're easy to read, easy to control, easy to anticipate. You, on the other hand, are unpredictable, which means you're exciting. And this is where the psychology of attraction works in your favor. Excitement and anxiety trigger the same physiological responses in the brain. A fast heartbeat, butterflies in the stomach, heightened attention. It all feels like attraction, and without even realizing it, she'll start associating those feelings with you. Not because you're doing anything to make her feel that way directly, but because your absence is forcing her mind to work harder for your presence. At this stage, she'll start taking subtle actions to re-enter your awareness. She might dress differently when she knows she'll see you. She might bring up shared memories in conversation. She might even post things on her own social media that she knows will get your attention. All of these are silent invitations, her way of saying, notice me, without having to admit that she's chasing. And here's the trap most men fall into. They mistake these small actions for full investment. They think, she posted something that reminded me of us. She must be all in now. but a high-value man understands that interest isn't commitment. Until she's consistently pursuing and making an effort over time, these gestures are just her dipping her toes in the water to see if you'll bite. The more you maintain your discipline, the more her curiosity turns into self-doubt. And here's where the real magic happens. Self-doubt in a woman can create a desire to prove herself to you. Remember, in the early stages, she was evaluating you. Now, the tables have turned, and she's evaluating herself in relation to you. Am I interesting enough for him? Am I attractive enough? Did I do something wrong? These questions are uncomfortable for her, but they also fuel her drive to win you over. That's because humans, especially women, value things they have to work for. When you were chasing, she didn't have to work for you. Now that you're not, she has to consider the possibility that you might be a prize worth fighting for. And when she reaches that point, her behavior becomes noticeably different. She stops being passive and starts becoming proactive. She initiates conversations more often. She finds reasons to spend time around you. She laughs more at your jokes, engages more in your stories, and becomes more physically affectionate. Light touches on the arm, leaning in closer when you talk, holding eye contact longer than before. These are primal signals, not just conscious decisions. She's showing you that she's ready to reopen the door for you. But here's the key. You don't rush through it. You let her open it wider, step by step, until she's the one making it obvious that she's chasing you now. That's the power of holding your position. It flips the entire dynamic in your favor without you ever having to beg, plead, or overinvest. Once she reaches that point of proactivity, something deeper begins to take root: emotional dependency. She doesn't label it that way, of course, but her mood starts to subtly fluctuate depending on her perceived closeness to you. If you respond warmly, her day feels lighter. If you're quiet or distant, she feels uneasy, maybe even irritable without knowing why. This is where the absence of your chase has its most profound effect. It conditions her to associate the highs and lows in her emotional state with your level of engagement. That's not manipulation, it's simply human conditioning. When something or someone becomes the source of emotional highs, the brain naturally starts craving it like a drug. And here's the secret most men never learn. You don't have to flood her with attention to create that craving. In fact, the scarcity is what makes it so potent. Her mind starts drifting toward you in quiet moments, when she's lying in bed, when she's driving, when she's bored at work. This isn't because you're actively reaching out or pushing yourself into her life, but because she's still trying to figure you out. Most men reveal themselves far too quickly, answering every question before she's even asked it. But you, by holding back and letting her experience you in fragments, have created a puzzle that she can't put down. And the longer it takes her to solve, the more invested she becomes in finding the missing pieces. You've essentially shifted her from evaluating if she wants you to working to earn you. That mental shift is the foundation of her pursuit. This is also when her pride begins to take a back seat. Early on, she might have told herself, if he's not chasing, I'm not going to chase either. But as the weeks go by and she realizes that you're perfectly fine without her validation, that pride starts to erode. She'll justify reaching out more often by telling herself it's just to check in or see how you've been. But the truth is, she's testing to see if she still matters to you. And every time you respond in a way that's warm but measured, you reinforce the idea that you're a man she has to keep earning, not a man she automatically owns. She'll also start imagining future scenarios with you. Not necessarily because you've promised her anything, but because her brain is searching for a resolution to the emotional loop you've created. She might picture you at a dinner with her friends, or walking into her family gatherings, or traveling together. This is her mind's way of creating certainty where there currently is none. But here's the important part. You didn't feed her these visions with promises or big declarations. She's building them herself, and that makes them more powerful, because she feels like she's the one choosing you, not the other way around. And people are always more committed to choices they believe they made freely. By now, she's started to recalibrate her perception of you entirely. You're no longer that guy who liked me or that guy I used to talk to. You've become that guy I can't quite get over. And this label doesn't come from flashy gestures or over-the-top romance. It comes from the emotional contrast you've created in her life. You're the only man who hasn't given her everything she wanted the second she wanted it, and instead of resenting you for it, she respects you for it. You've demonstrated that you're not afraid of losing her, and paradoxically, that's exactly what makes her afraid of losing you. At this point, the power dynamic is fully reversed. She's the one watching your moves, anticipating your attention, and wondering how to keep your interest alive. When you've reached the point where she's actively chasing, your biggest mistake would be to suddenly flip the script and flood her with attention. This is where most men sabotage themselves. They think, finally, she's into me. Now I can relax and give her everything. But the reality is, giving her everything too soon will kill the very tension that made her chase you in the first place. What you must understand is that her attraction to you isn't just about who you are. It's about how you make her feel. That feeling is built on a delicate balance of mystery, challenge, and emotional reward. If you remove the challenge, the reward loses its value. Your role now is not to win her, because she's already signaling she wants you. Your role is to maintain the environment that keeps her invested. This doesn't mean playing cold or acting uninterested. It means pacing the relationship in a way that forces her to keep putting in effort. Think of it like a dance. If you pull her in close for a moment, let her feel that warmth, that intimacy, and then step back slightly, you give her space to miss you again, and she will. That space keeps her chasing, because it reminds her that your attention isn't guaranteed. It's something she has to continually earn. This is the difference between a man who's temporarily desired and a man who becomes unforgettable. The first burns bright and fades quickly. The second keeps her coming back, because he never lets the fire burn out through overexposure. Another key to maintaining this dynamic is to keep evolving. Remember, she's chasing you because you represent a challenge and a mystery. If you stop growing, if you stop being interesting to yourself, she will eventually feel like she's figured you out, and the chase will lose its thrill. You must continue to invest in yourself, your goals, your hobbies, your appearance, your mind, because this isn't just about her. It's about you living a life that's worth being a part of. When she sees that you're constantly leveling up, she feels that same sense of competition that first made her want to win you over. It reignites her desire to prove she still belongs in your world. And here's something most men overlook. Once she's emotionally attached, the little things you do have amplified effects. A short, genuine compliment from you will mean more than an entire week of sweet talk from another man. A single afternoon together will outweigh countless nights she spent with someone else. Why? Because scarcity breeds value. You haven't been constantly available, so when you do give her that time and energy, it feels rare, it feels special, and that's what keeps her hooked. Knowing that she has something most women can't get from you. That exclusivity is intoxicating to her. In the end, the reason she chases when you don't is simple. She feels something with you that she doesn't feel with anyone else. It's not about you being perfect or playing some shallow game. It's about you having the discipline to let her come to you, instead of trying to force your way into her life. Most men can't handle the silence, the waiting, the uncertainty. But if you can trust that your value is enough to pull her in without overcompensating, you'll experience the most powerful form of attraction a woman can feel. She won't just want you, she'll need you. And once a woman reaches that point, she'll do whatever it takes to keep you in her life, because deep down she knows she may never find another man like you again.